What's going on, everyone? We got massive ZRs here from our locals today, but that's not the topic of the video. Today we've got a Deletor deck profile from you. It's my boy Jason, and he's going to be showing you what he runs and why he runs it. Go ahead, Jason.
Okay, so for the starter, currently I'm only running one. It's a Flutter Deletor Zuji, or I don't know how to pronounce these.
Sushi, zucchini, who knows?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's French. I love the French.
Okay, I'm only running one currently. I will eventually probably run more, but it's basically the best thing. You can kill it, push it to soul, countercharge, and call the top card. It's really good to help the deck keep board, basically. For my grade 3s, I am running 4 of the new grade 3. Dark Jet Deletor Greyen. It's Counterblast 1 and kill 2 of your Deletor units to delete your opponent's Vanguard, making it so that they only have 0 power and no skills. It's good in case you have very little counter charge, plus it's on-stride skill. Or when your G unit strides, you call the top card of your deck, or check the top card of your deck. If it's a Deletor, you call it, give something +2, and then your opponent's Vanguard, or then your opponent's Vanish deletes 2, which is binding face down. And I run 4 of that. The other grade 3 I run 4 of the old gray Deletor, Docking Deletor Greyon. It's basically just backup in case I can't, or if I go first and ride up to grade 3 first, I want to ride into this. It kills less of my board, even though it's Counterblast 2, to delete your opponent's Vanguard, which almost everything on this deck runs off of. Plus, when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, your opponent Banish deletes 2. And its delete skill also has your opponent Banish delete 1. So, as a backup, I run 4. For my grade 2s, I run 4 of the 12k attacker, Punishing Deletor Egot. Again, not sure how to pronounce the name.
The draft box program.
Everything is just syllables. It's just to help push for columns, attack for larger numbers, so that your opponent needs to guard more when they're deleted. Because they're just stuck at 0 power unless they get a trigger, or through effects. Then I also run 4 Forbid Deletor Zaklad. Its ability is basically you counterblast 1 card with Deletor in its card name. If your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, until end of turn it gets plus 2,000 power, so which makes it an 11k attacker. Plus if it hits, your opponent cannot stride during their next turn. Which makes this basically, if it hits, your opponent's stuck deleted until the end of their next turn, or if they re-ride. But it just helps to sort of slow down other decks. But more than likely, your opponent will not let this hit, no matter how much any other attack goes for, because they want to stride. Plus, you can boost this up insanely.
Yeah, I think you would rather perfect guard this than perfect guard the opponent's Vanguard. Like, you would rather lose the game than not be able to stride.
Yeah.
I would, at least.
A lot of people do that. It's kind of stupid, slightly, to do that. Just because either way, you're either not going to be able to stride or you just die.
You pretty much just have a very bland turn, right? And some decks might be able to get past it, but most decks don't.
Yeah. Then I also run 2 Punishment Deletor Greyons. It's a 7k grade 2, but for every single card that your opponent has banished deleted, it gets plus 1k power continuously. One of the win cons of the deck is to get up to 13. So more than likely your opponent isn't going to be able to hit that just by having the number be too high. The only way to kill it is through skills, basically, or just boosting your columns insane and just swinging at the rear guard. Its other skill is at the end of the battle that your vanguard attacks, your opponent banish leads 1. This only works if your opponent is if your vanguard's the leader.
As long as they're 30, yeah.
So it boosts itself, plus it helps you get to one of the win cons of the deck. On to grade 1s. Currently I am running 4 Stride Fodder. This card is basically just to help board swarm. It's basically, if it's used to stride for a card with the leader in its card name, you counterblast 1, call it to a rearguard circle. So most of the strides, both of the deleter strides, you have to kill one of your units. So basically, you call this out, you can choose to kill this or any of your other cards. So it's just a bit more, it's a bit more board swarmy, which helps out the deck. I am also running 4 Ill-Fate Deleter Drown. This card is basically just to help you keep hand and to help you banish lead a bit more, because its skill is at the end of the battle that it boosts your vanguard with the leader. You push it into soul, choose a card from your hand and discard it. Your opponent banish deletes 1 and you draw 2 cards. So it helps you keep a bit more hand for times where your opponent's either super hard rushing you and you have to drop most of it, or you're stuck in a position where you have to drop almost all your hand.
The Destiny, the Rebirth.
I am currently only running 3 of the 10k grade 1 attacker. Breaking Deleter Gatario.
There are still 7Cs rushing.
This is again just like the 12k. It just helps you push for larger columns and have your opponent guard more when they're deleted.
Because Legion has to attack.
And on to the PG.
Legion has to attack a rear guard.
I am running 4 Remove Deleter. Don't know how that name works. Igaria or something. It's basically when your opponent's vanguard is deleted in drop zone, you bind it face down, so you banish delete it, and choose one of your deleters, give it +4. So depending on like what's going on, this can really help boost up your grade 2. So you can have, say, 2 of them in your drop. You delete your opponent, banish delete 2 of them, give this +8. Or any of your units +8. It just helps to push for larger columns when they're deleted. Again, plus PG. Okay, on to the triggers.
Why I'm not afraid of leftovers.
I am running 4 crits. Biting Deleter Diva. It's basically just a skill that puts it back to deck at the end of the battle that it boosts, and your opponent's vanguard is deleted. You return it to deck, counterblast 1, and your opponent banish deletes a card in their drop zone. So it returns to deck, helps you get back your counterblasts, plus it ups the count for how many cards they have banished deleted, which is, again, one of the main win cons of the deck, or at least used to be. I am running 4 Cramping Deleter Eddie. It's basically just there to help keep hand, and basically you can rush really hard with just this card. There were games where I call it's using its skill is when it's placed on vanguard or rear guard circle and your opponent's vanguard is deleted, you get to draw a card. There were games where I called this card, kept drawing more of it. So at the end, I just had basically a full field of just the stand trigger, which helps because you need board spam sort of in this deck, which a while ago it didn't have. Plus, this can help you keep hand better. I am also running 4 Rending Deletor Ephamus. It's basically just when it's retired due to the effect of one of your cards with Deletor. If your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, look at the top card of your deck, call it to rearguard circle, and it gets +5 until the end of the turn. This helps build columns and basically board spam. So in total, it's just a really good stand trigger that helps you refill your board when something dies due to a skill. And then 4 heal triggers, like most decks. For the strides, I'll start with the G-Guards. I am running 4 of the Deletor G-Guard, Balming Deletor, Evorbis. Its skill, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, when it's placed on G-Circle, or Guardian Circle. If you have a Vanguard with Deletor in its card name, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose 3 of your opponent's front row units, and they get minus 1,000 power for each Deletor on your field and in face up in your G zone. So there were a few games where I got it so that my opponent had minus 10 to the front row, which basically made it so that almost none of their units could hit. It's just really good defensive card, and it can really stop decks that play really hard in late game.
It was like 20 cents.
I am also running 1 Destiny Guardian, just in case for like the Messiah matchup or the Chaos Breaker matchup. It's always just an out to those 2 decks, just Link Joker in general. So most decks usually run 1 or 2 of it. I am running 1 of the Unflip G-Guards, just in case I'm playing against a deck that requires their back row, such as the new Aqua Force that the pre-release just happened. So if I can lock their turn lock their entire back row during their ZR turn, that stops 3 attacks. So it's just a really good defensive card, basically. I am also running 1 Dimzel, again, for Link Joker matchups or matchups that can easily kill my board during attacks and such. 1 Blizza, in case it goes into super late game, because I don't currently have a GB8, and I don't think it would do very well in this deck. It's just to swing for a giant number. I never really use it. It's just there just in case. Running 2 Amnesty Messiah. Again, in case of the Link Joker matchup. There's not really much else to run that's as good as this against other Link Joker decks, because you basically, if your entire field is locked because of Chaos or a Messiah player, then you basically get more than 1 attack, plus it gains an extra crit and extra power.
Regular first kind of thing?
For the Deletor strides, I am running 2 original Deletor Egor. It's Counterblast 1, kill one of my Deletor rearguards. I delete my opponent's Vanguard, and my opponent banish deletes 1 card from their drop zone. And then if there are 13 cards banished deleted, I win the game. So this is one of the win cons of the game. The other one is just super heavy rushing. So this is just a super late game card that's really good against decks that try and kill near GB like 8 or whatever that can't really get there too quickly. Then I am running 4 deliberate deleter
all guineas you can't get involved. So you can evolve that
day in.
or you can evolve. That other one's like 6 rounds.
Its skill is basically you just
You play with it?
flip. It's basically a free delete almost. You flip up another copy of it, retire one of your deleter rear guards, delete your opponent's vanguard, and your front row gets +2 for every other copy of him face up. So first ride, your front row is going to get +2. Second stride, your front row gets +6. That again helps with like the boosting columns and such. It's also basically a free delete, so if they don't give you much damage to countercharge or counterblast for the skills, it doesn't really matter too much because you can just do that for free.
I have 2 spares if you want to pick up 2.
Alright, so that pretty much wraps the deck up, right?
Yep.
Alright everyone, that was our Deleter deck profile. This deck's been pretty hot recently. It's got some tournament tops, and it's a very fun deck to play. I've played it myself, and cheap as well for some reason, besides this is an SP. If you liked the video, be sure to like the video. Oh, interesting. Subscribe to our channel, favorite the video, and be sure to click that bell button. See you guys in the next one.